Welcome to the WIMBY Interactive map. WIMBY is short for Wind in My Backyard, and it is a project funded by the European Union that aims to support the adoption and acceptance of wind power all over the continent. This map allows you to find information related to wind energy on the map of Europe, to simulate your own wind farm and discover the pilot sites of the WIMBY project. Click on one of these features to continue to the map. Click and drag to move around on the map. You can also use your scroll to zoom in and out, or use the plus and minus icons here on the top right. If you want to change your background map, you will find it here. Click on the satellite, for instance, if you prefer a satellite map. Let's stick with the street background map for now. Here on the left, you will see the map layer component, which is divided into two categories. We have the wind resource layers and the terrain layers. An important wind resource layer is the mean wind speed. Next to the layer you will find an info button which describes and gives a bit more information about the data you are seeing on the map. There is also a height selector for certain layers, for instance to see the mean wind speed at 200 meters. Now let's go to the terrain layers. First elevation, and then we can also activate the ruggedness index, which is a measure of the roughness of the terrain. Let's continue to a special kind of layer, which is the pilot sites. Here you see the different locations of the pilot sites of the WIMBY project. Let's select one, for instance Styria. If you click on it, you will zoom in and you can see the specific challenges of this project. Now let's move on to one of the most important features of the WIMBY map, the wind farm simulation. However, for now the wind farm simulation button is not active because we need to zoom in more to make it possible to select an area of interest. To do this quickly, we can type an address in the search box. Click on the suggestion and the map will automatically zoom in to your address of interest. Now let's click on the Start Wind Farm Simulation button and start drawing our area of interest. By clicking on the map, you will see points appear. This way you can create a drawing of your area of interest. When you are done drawing, you can double click or you can click back on the first point. Now you see a parameter menu pop up. Here you can select the amount of turbines you want in your wind farm simulation. Let's go with 3. The turbine type is also an interesting parameter, but let's leave it to unsure for now. You can click on reset if you are not happy with your drawing and want to draw it again, but let's click on run and see the results of our wind farm simulation. This calculation takes some time because the algorithm really checks all the possible locations for turbines and tries to optimize them. It also takes a look at the hard constraints or exclusion zones, which are locations where it is not possible to build a turbine. Now the calculation is ready and you see the results in the side panel. So on top you see some information about your wind farm simulation, like the address and the area you selected. Also the parameters are visible here. Let's start with the general results. The first one is the annual energy output that is produced by your simulated wind farm, and the capacity factor, which is an average power generated by the wind farm divided by its peak capacity. Underneath you will see some information about regulations that apply both in Europe or in your area of interest. So my selection was in Flanders in Belgium, so you will see here some information about this region. One example is the distance to residential buildings. This should be 250 meters, and here you will also find a link to the relevant information on the website of the local authorities. Now let's go to the next step, the impact. The first one we can choose is the noise impact. So on the map you will now see the different noise levels produced by the turbines. Here you can, for instance, check if there are buildings falling into certain zones with a certain noise level. Next, let's have a look at the shadow flicker. This is the amount of hours during a year where there is shadow flicker on these certain locations. Let's switch to the 3D view so we really can see the effect of the sun and the shadow on these shadow flicker estimations. Finally, the last impact is the environmental impact over the turbine's life, which is the amount of CO2 equivalents that are produced in the construction phase, the maintenance phase, and all the phases of the turbine's life. Again, you will find some more information in the info buttons. Now we are coming to the end of this video about the WIMBY Interactive map. During the project we will continue adding features and adding more results produced by the partners in the project, so stay tuned for more information and more functionalities. Here in the menu you will find a link to the project website where you can find all the information about the WIMBY project, the partners, the pilot sites, and so on. Additionally, you will find a link to the general forum, one of the other tools produced in the WIMBY project. Thank you so much for watching this introduction of the WIMBY map.